Hello, traveller. My name is Dr. Kobakos. Welcome to my channel. For more than 40 years, I have studied nature and the knowledge surrounding it. Over time, I noticed something troubling. Information about medicinal plants is rarely discussed, rarely promoted, and often quietly ignored. We live in a world where health is treated as a product, and large industrial systems influence what is researched, what is promoted, and what remains unseen. In this video, I will show how modern views on medicine and health have been shaped, and in some cases distorted, by economic interests. Interests that do not benefit from people staying healthy or relying on the free resources that nature provides. Piece by piece, plant by plant, I gathered what was left behind. I do not promise miracles. I present observation, history, and evidence, because people must know the truth. The wheat. The wheat your great-grandparents ate no longer exists. I'm not speaking metaphorically, I mean it literally. The grain that built civilizations, that sustained humanity for 10,000 years, that wheat is gone. What grows in American fields today is something fundamentally different. Same name, different plant. Sit here in my archive. Look at these two photographs. Left, wheat field from 1920. Stalks stand tall, 1.5 meters high, swaying in wind. Small seed heads, widely spaced. Roots extending 2 meters deep into soil. Right, modern wheat field from 2020. Plants barely reach 1 meter. Thick, stubby stems. Massive seed heads, heavy with grain. Roots penetrating maybe 30 centimeters before stopping. 1 century. Completely different organism. We call both wheat, the way we might call a wolf and a chihuahua, both canine. Technically accurate, functionally absurd. This transformation wasn't an accident. It was deliberate, systematic, designed to solve one problem while creating dozens of others. The wheat changed, and in changing, it changed us. 10,000 years ago, humans first domesticated wild wheat in the Fertile Crescent. Einkorn wheat, emmer wheat, ancient grains with deep roots, modest yields, and protein structures humans could digest easily. Early American farmers didn't just plant European wheat, they adapted. Turkey red wheat, brought by Mennonite immigrants from Russia in the 1870s, became the foundation of Kansas agriculture. Winter wheat, planted in fall, surviving brutal winters, harvested in early summer. Hard red kernels that made excellent bread flour. Deep roots that found moisture other crops couldn't reach. A Kansas farmer in 1880 could plant turkey red in September, watch it survive winter, and harvest in June. No irrigation needed, minimal fertilizer. The wheat's deep roots prevented erosion, improved soil structure, brought nutrients up from lower layers. 1 bushel of seed produced 15 to 20 bushels of grain. Not spectacular by modern standards, but reliable. Year after year. Through drought, through hard winters, through plagues. The wheat didn't need constant intervention. It grew as part of an ecosystem. The nutritional profile was different too. Higher protein content, 14 to 18% compared to modern wheat's 10 to 12%. Different gluten structure, proteins that formed weaker bonds, making dough easier to digest. Bread made from turkey red wheat rose slowly, developed complex flavors, stayed fresh for days without preservatives. The grain contained higher minerals, selenium, zinc, iron, because deep roots accessed what shallow roots never reach. People ate this bread daily, and they didn't experience the digestive issues, the inflammatory responses, the gluten sensitivity that's epidemic today. The Green Revolution reaches American wheat. Norman Borlaug's work in Mexico produces semi-dwarf wheat varieties, plants with thick, short stems, massive seed heads, yields 2 or 3 times higher than traditional varieties under optimal conditions. The key phrase, under optimal conditions. These new varieties required specific inputs: synthetic nitrogen fertilizers, reliable irrigation, pesticides, herbicides. But the yields were remarkable. Under perfect conditions, the new wheat could produce 60, 80, even 100 bushels per acre. Within 2 decades, heritage wheat virtually disappeared from American fields. Why plant Turkey Red, producing 20 bushels, when modern varieties produced 60? The calculation seemed obvious. More grain equals more profit. Except that calculation left out costs that wouldn't appear for years. The semi-dwarf wheat couldn't develop deep roots. Its structure was optimized for producing massive seed heads on short stems. The roots, shallow and inefficient, couldn't access water or minerals from deep soil. So farmers applied more fertilizer. The wheat became addicted to these inputs. Yields dropped dramatically without them. Shallow roots meant erosion increased. Heritage varieties had held soil in place. Modern wheat couldn't. Topsoil began disappearing at accelerating rates. The plants lost natural pest and disease resistance. The solution? More chemicals, fungicides, insecticides. And something else changed: the protein structure of the grain itself. Traditional wheat had 14 chromosomes. Through hybridization and mutation breeding, modern wheat ended up with 42 chromosomes. The genetic complexity increased dramatically. This changed the gluten proteins. The ratios shifted. New protein fragments appeared that human digestive systems had never encountered in 10,000 years of eating wheat. By 1985, the transformation was complete. Modern wheat dominated American agriculture. High yields, high chemical inputs, shallow roots, changed proteins. And slowly, people started getting sick. In the 1970s, celiac disease affected perhaps 1 in 10,000 people. By 2020, it affects 1 in 100. Non-celiac gluten sensitivity, unheard of before 1980, now affects an estimated 6 to 10% of the population. Conventional medicine blames increased awareness, better diagnostics. Yes, those factors play a role. But here's data harder to explain. Studies comparing heritage wheat to modern wheat show significant differences in how human bodies respond. A 2014 University of Florence study took people with diagnosed non-celiac wheat sensitivity. Fed them bread made from modern wheat. Symptoms appeared. Fed them bread made from heritage wheat using the same methods. No symptoms. The conclusion was clear. The wheat itself had changed in ways that affected human digestion and immune response. Modern wheat has higher levels of gluten proteins, particularly difficult to digest. It has protein fragments that trigger inflammatory immune responses even in people without celiac disease. But the medical establishment and agricultural industry don't want this conversation. Too many interests depend on the current system. Seed companies profit from selling hybrid seeds annually. Chemical companies profit from fertilizers and pesticides modern wheat requires. Food processors prefer modern wheat because its gluten structure produces consistent industrial baking results. The entire system is optimized around grain that makes people sick and destroys soil health. But the science is clear. We changed wheat to serve industrial agriculture, and in doing so, we broke something fundamental. Let me show you soil test comparison from a long-term Montana study. 2 adjacent fields, same original soil. Field A, heritage wheat varieties in rotation with legumes and fallow periods, minimal chemicals. After 20 years, soil organic matter increased from 3.2 to 4.8%. Beneficial microorganisms stable or increasing. Water infiltration improved. Field B, modern wheat varieties, heavy fertilizer and pesticide use. After 20 years, soil organic matter declined from 3.2 to 2.1%. Beneficial microorganisms decreased by 60%. Soil requires increasing fertilizer for same yields. This is the hidden cost. Every bushel produced extracts more from soil than it returns. The system runs on mining, extracting stored fertility built over centuries, replacing it with synthetic chemicals that provide nutrients but destroy soil life. We're creating biological deserts that look productive short-term but are dying. And we're doing this to produce grain that makes people sick. Wheat became a product, not a food, a commodity measured in yield per acre, not in nutritional value or digestibility. We optimized wheat for everything except what actually matters, growing sustainably and nourishing humans. But about 10 years ago, something shifted. A plant geneticist at Washington State University started growing heritage wheat varieties from seed banks, varieties not planted commercially in 60 or 70 years. The results surprised him. These old varieties, grown without chemical fertilizers, produced respectable yields, not as high as modern wheat with full chemicals, but comparable to modern wheat grown organically. More importantly, they showed remarkable resilience. During drought, when modern varieties' yields dropped 40%, heritage varieties dropped only 15%. Those deep roots made the difference. Nutritional analysis showed higher protein, different gluten ratios, higher minerals. The grain had more of what humans need and less of what causes problems. He published findings in 2015. Most of industrial agriculture ignored it. But some people noticed. Small farmers experimenting with regenerative agriculture started seeking heritage wheat seeds. Artisan bakers started sourcing heritage grains, finding bread with flavors impossible with modern commodity wheat. And people with wheat sensitivities reported they could eat heritage wheat products without symptoms. Heritage wheat organizations formed to preserve endangered varieties. Seed banks began taking wheat diversity more seriously. Some research programs started examining whether breeding could recapture lost beneficial traits. The knowledge that wheat doesn't have to be this way is spreading slowly. This isn't a story about wheat. It's about what happens when we optimize living systems for single metrics while ignoring systemic consequences. We wanted higher yields, we got them. But we destroyed soil health, created chemical dependency, and produced grain that harms human health. The wheat didn't fail, we failed the wheat. And in failing the wheat, we failed ourselves. Every system prioritizing extraction over regeneration eventually collapses. We're seeing this in soil depletion, chemical dependency, digestive disorder epidemics. But here's what industrial agriculture won't tell you. This isn't inevitable. Heritage wheat varieties exist. They're preserved in seed banks, grown by small farmers, saved by people who refused to forget. These varieties can produce adequate yields without destroying soil. They can provide nutrition without making people sick. They can grow as part of ecosystems rather than in opposition to them. Heritage wheat varieties are still available, though you have to search. Small seed companies maintain collections. Seed savers networks share them. Some farmers are planting them again. If you grow wheat, you can obtain these seeds: Turkey Red, Red Fife, Sonora, Marquis, varieties that fed America before industrial agriculture. These wheats behave differently. They grow tall. They yield less per acre under high chemical regimes, but comparably under organic management. They develop deep roots that improve rather than deplete soil. The grain is different: higher protein, different gluten structure, mineral-rich because deep roots access what modern wheat can't. Bakers working with heritage wheat report it requires different techniques, longer fermentation, gentler handling, but produces bread with complexity impossible with modern commodity wheat. People with wheat sensitivities report they can eat heritage wheat products without symptoms. Not universal, celiac disease still requires avoiding all wheat. But for non-celiac wheat sensitivity, heritage varieties often work when modern wheat doesn't. Support farmers growing heritage grains. Buy from bakeries using them. If you bake, seek out heritage wheat flour. It costs more because yields are lower and it's outside industrial systems. But that higher price reflects real costs that commodity wheat externalizes onto soil and human health. Grow it if you can, save seeds, share them. This is how diversity survives, through distributed networks of people who care enough to maintain it. I keep seeds here. Red Fife wheat from Canada, brought by a farmer who's grown it continuously since his grandfather homesteaded in 1910. Turkey Red from Kansas, maintained by a Mennonite community that never stopped planting it. These aren't museum pieces. They're living links to a food system that worked, that sustained both soil and people. A Montana farmer visited me last spring. He'd been growing modern wheat his whole life, watching soil degrade, using more chemicals every year to maintain yields. He asked for Turkey Red seeds, planted 40 acres as an experiment. Last month he sent a letter. The yield was 30% lower than his modern wheat, but his costs were 60% lower, No synthetic fertilizer, minimal pesticides, no fungicides. His profit margin was actually higher. And he said something I won't forget. The wheat wanted to grow. It didn't fight me. It didn't demand constant intervention. It just grew. That's what we lost. Grain that works with farmers instead of demanding from them. Grain that builds soil instead of mining it. Grain that nourishes instead of inflames. The wheat that fed your great-grandparents is gone from most fields. But it's not extinct. It survives in seed banks, in small farms, in networks of people who understand that diversity isn't nostalgia, it's survival. The question isn't whether we can return to better grain. We can. The seeds exist, the knowledge exists. The question is whether we'll choose to. Every time you buy heritage grain, you're voting for a different system. Every time you plant heritage wheat, you're preserving diversity. Every time you bake with it, you're proving alternatives exist. The grain changed. It changed us. But change isn't permanent. It's a choice we make continuously. The wheat is ready to be what it was, resilient, nourishing, alive. The question is, are we?